Ancient wisdom in modern parallel. Bridging commandments and yoga. The cracks in the mirror. We live in an age of endless connection, and yet, a quiet hunger hums beneath the noise. We scroll, we consume, we perform. But sometimes, when the world falls silent, perhaps late at night, or in that early hour before the city wakes, we sense something missing. Something ancient. Something whole. I remember the first time that feeling came for me. I was sitting in traffic, watching people through the glass of their cars, faces lit by the cold blue of their phones, eyes moving but not seeing. And I thought, we are all here, but none of us are present. That night, I went home and opened a book I had never truly read, the 10 Commandments. A list I'd memorized in childhood but never absorbed. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not covet. Honor thy father and mother. Rules. Yes, but beneath them, a yearning for harmony. Days later, in a yoga class I joined half-heartedly. The teacher spoke of Yama and Niyama, the first 2 limbs of Patanjali's Eightfold Path. Ahimsa, non-violence. Satya, truthfulness. Aparigraha, non-grasping. And suddenly, I saw the same pattern, a map for living, drawn in different ink. 2 traditions, worlds apart, whispering the same melody through different tongues. Both calling us back to something we've forgotten, the art of being human. And I wondered, what if these weren't laws to obey or practices to perfect, but bridges? Bridges between outer conduct and inner clarity. Between the commandments and the Yoga Sutras. Between body, breath, and the soul's own moral gravity. That night, I began to listen, not to the noise of instruction, but to the silence beneath it. And that silence began to speak. The desert and the river. Every tradition begins with a question: what does it mean to live rightly? For Moses, it was asked on a mountain, under thunder and stone. For Patanjali, it was whispered in stillness, deep in meditation. One stands before a blazing fire, the other, within an ocean of breath. Yet both point to the same dawn, the awakening of conscience. The Yamas, the first limb of yoga, speak of our relationship with the world, 5 ethical harmonies that mirror the pulse of the commandments. Ahimsa, non-violence. Not only the absence of harm, but the presence of compassion. In the commandments, it finds its echo: thou shalt not kill. But ahimsa extends beyond the physical. It asks, how do you speak to others? How do you speak to yourself? Do your thoughts wound? Does your silence heal? When I first tried to live this, I failed in the smallest, most ordinary ways: a sharp tone with a friend, irritation in traffic, judgment disguised as humor. Each moment became a mirror, and in that mirror, I saw not cruelty, but fear. Fear was the seed of every violence. And only understanding could uproot it. Then came Satya, truthfulness. Not merely the refusal to lie, but the courage to live without masks. To say what is real, even when it trembles. Its twin glows in the commandment, "Thou shalt not bear false witness." Yet Satya reaches further. It is not only about words, but alignment. Are your actions honest with your intentions? Is your outer life faithful to your inner knowing? Asteya, non-stealing. Beyond theft of things, it asks, what do you take that was never yours? Time, credit, trust, energy. How much do we steal without realizing? It whispers with the commandment, "Thou shalt not steal." But here, too, the meaning deepens. To live without greed is to live in enoughness. Then comes brahmacharya, moderation, or right use of energy. So often mistranslated as chastity, it truly means to walk in awareness of divine energy. To know that every desire, every impulse, can either scatter you or sanctify you. In the commandments, it finds resonance with, "Thou shalt not commit adultery." Both speak of sacredness, the idea that intimacy, like fire, must be tended, not consumed. And finally, aparigraha, non-grasping. Letting go of what clings. Releasing the hunger for more, the endless wanting that keeps the heart restless. In the commandment, "Thou shalt not covet." Both warn of the same blindness, that craving enslaves. And freedom lies not in possession, but in surrender. When I looked at these together, Yama and the commandments, I saw not contradiction, but conversation. Both were not punishments, but protection. Not moral cages, but paths toward peace. The second limb, niyama, turns inward, the dialogue with the self. Socha, purity. Cleanliness not only of body, but of mind. To wash away the residue of resentment, to let your thoughts be as clear as morning light. Santosha, contentment. The quiet art of enough. The refusal to measure life by what it lacks. A reflection of the Sabbath commandment, the rhythm of rest, the grace of stillness. Tapas, discipline. The inner fire that burns away inertia. To do what must be done, even when ease tempts you away. The commandments. 2. Speak of devotion, of putting no other gods before the one, of keeping faith alive through effort. Svadhyaya, self-study. To know yourself as deeply as scripture, to read your own patterns as a sacred text. It mirrors the call to reflection, to remember where you come from, who you serve, and why. And finally, Ishvara Pranadhana, surrender to the divine. Not blind submission, but humble trust, the letting go of the need to control the outcome. It is the beating heart of faith, found across both traditions. The moment when effort softens into grace. Together, Yama and Niyama are not dogma, they are choreography. They teach the dance between doing and being, between striving and surrendering. One polishes the outer vessel, the other fills it with light. But the world we live in often reverses the path. We chase asana, the poses, the visible form, and forget the ethics that hold it together. We preach commandments as rules, and forget they were born from love. Perhaps the true practice is neither religion nor routine, but remembrance. A remembering of what it means to walk gently, speak truthfully, and live awake. I think of Moses again, descending from the mountain, tablets in hand, his face radiant with something unnameable. And I think of the yogi, eyes half closed, spine straight, breath slow, finding the same radiance within. Two seekers standing at different doors, yet both opening to the same room. The room of consciousness. The room of responsibility. The room where heaven and earth meet inside the heart. The bridge within. In the stillness that follows understanding, something changes, not outside, but within. When I first began this exploration, I wanted connection. Now, what I feel is belonging. Not to a tradition, but to truth itself. The 10 Commandments and the 8 limbs, they are not competing maps, they are constellations. Different stars, same sky. Each one pointing us toward a center, not in heaven above, but in the human heart. If Yama and Niyama teach anything, it is this: that wisdom is not inherited, it is embodied. Every moment is a chance to practice sacredness in motion. To live the invisible as if it were visible. To turn belief into breath. When I wake now, I try to begin simply, before the day rushes in. A breath of awareness, a whisper of gratitude. A soft reminder, do no harm, speak truth, take only what is freely given. Use energy wisely, let go. And then, be clean, be content, be disciplined, know yourself, surrender. These are not commandments carved in stone, nor sutras hidden in Sanskrit. They are living invitations to see the divine not in doctrine, but in the act of living consciously. Maybe that's what the ancients were trying to tell us all along. That heaven is not a place we enter after death, but a harmony we cultivate in life. That liberation, samadhi, is not escape, but arrival. To be wholly present, wholly human, wholly kind. We keep looking for new philosophies to fix us. But perhaps the cure has always been ancient, not because it is old, but because it is eternal. A moral compass that doesn't point north or east, but inward. Because when the heart is clear, every direction becomes home. The mountain and the mat. The commandments and the sutras. 2 paths, 1 destination. Both teaching that the real journey is not toward God, but back to the soul that remembers it. And so, as the world outside grows louder, maybe our task is not to shout our truths, but to live them quietly. To embody the bridge between thought and action, belief and being. Because in the end, wisdom is not what we know. It's what we practice when no one is watching. Reflections of parallel wisdom. When we place the 10 Commandments beside the 8 limbs of yoga, it is easy to focus on their surface, one born from a mountain's fire, the other from a sage's stillness. One speaks of divine decree, the other, of disciplined discovery. But beneath both, there is the same heartbeat, the longing for alignment. We are, all of us, bridges. Between the sacred and the ordinary, the eternal and the fleeting. Between the person we are and the person we are still becoming. The commandments remind us that morality begins with restraint, the honoring of boundaries that keep us from chaos. The yogic path reminds us that transformation begins with awareness, the turning inward, the quiet seeing of the self. Together, they reveal something profound. That to live rightly is not to follow rules or rituals blindly, but to awaken to relationship with others, with the world, with our own spirit. Both paths begin in action, but they end in stillness. Moses climbs the mountain to receive the word. The yogi sits in silence to hear it within. Each finds illumination not from striving, but from surrender. And maybe that is the hidden wisdom of the parallel, that East and West are not opposites, but reflections facing each other across the same truth. That commandment and compassion, discipline and devotion, are threads of one great tapestry, the human pursuit of harmony. So when life feels divided, between duty and desire, between faith and doubt, remember this. The bridge already exists. It was built the moment consciousness met conscience. The moment breath met word. In the end, these teachings do not ask us to be saints or sages. They ask us to be awake. To live with the awareness that every action, every thought, every silence is part of the greater practice. The yoga of living, the commandment of love. And perhaps that is where all wisdom finally meets. Not in heaven above or scripture below, but in the quiet space between breath and heartbeat, where the divine and the human finally remember they were never separate. Thanks for your time. It's been a delight. Join Orbital Reads and keep your thoughts bright.